What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in, and I'm trying something new, trying something that I'm also passionate about just as much that I am passionate about the NFL. I am passionate about the WWE, as you can see from this shirt here. I still rep my tribal chief, and we're going to get into this first episode of WWE Weekly. Now, how I'm going to do these is I'm going to recap the previous week's Smackdown, previous Raw, and I'm going to talk about some things to look forward to with each show with the next coming Smackdown and Raw. I'm not sure how long these episodes are going to be, just to give you guys a bit of a warning ahead of time. I don't know. I'll just be honest. I don't know how long this is going to be. But let's just get right into this, and we're going to start off with Friday Night Smackdown. I know at the time I'm recording this, probably, I want to say roughly 10 to 15 minutes after Monday Night Raw just went out the air. So that might be a little more fresh in my brain. But we're going to start off with Smackdown anyway. And we're starting off with the John Cena versus the Randy Orton challenge. Now, John Cena, this heel turn for me, I will be honest, it still hasn't really hit with me. The heel Cena, I think WrestleMania kind of took some legs out of it. The build up to WrestleMania with his heel turns kind of took some legs off of it. And him winning the title in the way that he did took some legs off of it. I am one that was kind of interested to see if it would ever turn heel now that it has. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Cena to begin with, but now this really just does not hit me. Now, I will say this, when we're talking about this whole John Cena Randy Orton feud, this is a feud that goes back decades, and there was a period during this feud that I'm to be honest with you guys, I personally wasn't watching wrestling. I'll give it a period from 05 till maybe 08, parts of 09. I was out of wrestling. Now, I kind of went back and watched some of it, but their feud was a good portion of that era. And yes, I know the history of it. Yes, I know the story of it. But it does hit things different when you actually sit there live for it. But either way it goes, this promo was a very good promo. Whether we're talking about Randy Orton mentioning the fact that John Cena needs to have some kids, and whether we're talking about the fact that John Cena says he spent the last 25 years raising these kids, and he raised me. But anyway it goes, we're talking about the fact that kind of hit him with some low blows, and he's talking about taking a title, erasing generations in history of the WWE, and we kind of figured he wanted to try to fight him. And then I think it's a John Cena's thing to use the belt, because it seems like whatever attack he's done, whether it was turning heel, whether it's been attack on Cody at WrestleMania, or he's always trying to is that his thing now, to just use the belt? This heel turn, he's cooked with promos, but it just hasn't hit. And then he has a challenge for WrestleMania for Backlash, with Randy Orton for a one last time thing. I'm kind of interested to see this match. I have a funny feeling that, and I'll get to that in the predictions video of the week leading up into Backlash. But if we're talking about this specific match at Backlash, I really want to see it. If we're talking about that promo, you can go back on YouTube and watch it. But man, that was a really good promo, and it kept me interested in this feud. Randy Orton, John Cena, one last match, and especially with it being in his hometown, Randy Orton's hometown was St. Louis. I'm looking forward to it. Then we had the match of Fraction versus Los Garza. Fraction was a team that I just really got into NXT probably earlier this year. It was one of those things I would watch here and there, to be honest. It wasn't one of those things where I actually had to watch it, so I didn't see a ton of Fraction. And They are a really good team. I love the way they are quick, fast, very explosive tag team. Los Garza, it just seems like they just take L's every single turn. And it just like kind of like the LWO with this whole AAA acquisition. I mean, it's a lot of Mexican stars on WWE. It just seems like they're taking L's. We know Rey Mysterio, he has an injury right now. Fraxium, I think, Axiom is Spanish, but Los Garza came by a win. LWO came by a win. It just seems like a lot of the Latino / Mexican population of the WWE, damn would they win a match. But Fraxium making their SmackDown debut as a team, I really like those two guys. And it's interesting to see how they're going to picture into the SmackDown tag team division. Now, one thing I kind of did want to see with Fraction being called up to the main roster, I kind of wanted to see them on Raw, mainly because Raw's tag team division is kind of lackluster when you compare it to SmackDown's tag team division. Fraxium, I think, would have made a big addition, whether we're talking about the War Raiders, the Judgment Day, and the New Day. Outside of that, Raw's tag, and I think you got A-Town Down Under, which, God, would they split them up. It's been teased for a long time. I kind of wish they would split them up and let them two go on their own. Because, honestly, I don't think that team is hidden. But I think Fraxium would have made a better addition to Raw's tag team division, especially with them being up-and-coming tag team versus SmackDown tag team division. When comparing the two SmackDowns, I think it's levels and above. When we're talking about profits, we're talking about DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Pretty Deadly. Their gimmick is a little weird, but androgynous is the word. But I kind of like them as a team as well. I just like the fact, I would have ranked them on Monday Night Raw to boost their tag team division. But then we get to Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton, which I will be honest, I think both very good competitive women. I think they need a little bit more work in the ring, and that's just me being honest. I'm a bigger fan of Jade than I am Tiffany, but Tiffany coming off of that win at WrestleMania, it was a good match I just think it was a good match. Now, Jade Cargill and Tiffany, they were both hitting some different moves. And I like the fact that it was their first time. You get Jade Cargill split up from Naomi. You split up from Bianca Belair. And sucks that Bianca Belair is going to be out for a while. The finger injury sucks. But we're talking about Jade Cargill finally being on her own and finally getting a singles run. And this is kind of what I've been wanting to see ever since she entered the WWE, was her getting a bit of a singles push. Yes, they did elevate the tag titles while they had them, but I really want to see Jade in a singles run and see how that works as far as her going for the WWE title, which I think eventually she's going to have a WWE Championship match. And Tiffany Stratton, who's still looking strong. But we had the return of Nia Jax and Naomi attacking Jade Cargill, which looks like that feud is something that is looking to continue. I don't know if they're going to have a WrestleMania rematch at Backlash, because I think all sides are pointing towards that. And I think Nia Jax, with her taking out Tiffany, she's looking to regain her title. So that could possibly be a Backlash match, Nia Jax versus Tiffany Stratton, with Nia Jax finally getting her return. And I like that. Because it's almost seemed like we didn't get a big build up to when their rivalry ended when Tiffany cashed in Money in the Bank on Nia. To me, it didn't seem like it was a lot of follow-up behind that. So I think this, as far as those two going at it, I think if they build it up a little bit more, it will tell a bit of a story behind it, and I think it could work. And it's interesting to see where they're going to go with this. Are they going to take the title off of Tiffany, which I don't think that's going to happen, which I wish it kind of was a little bit more unpredictable when we're talking about these storylines, when we're talking about the titles getting taken off of people. Especially, I'm always one that feels like it doesn't have to be a big pay-per-view or PLE as we call it nowadays to have a title change hands. So could this be a thing where Tiffany kind of drops it? I don't think so, especially after her picking up the win versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. I think Tiffany's probably, if it does, well, I'll get into that later. I don't want to spoil a little bit of my predictions. But anyway, it goes. We got LA Knight and Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight and Drew McIntyre and the Jacob Fatu. That whole thing or beef with Jacob Fatu winning the U.S. title at WrestleMania. LA Knight wanted his title back. Drew McIntyre stepping in the middle of it, which I'm going to be honest, I thought that was very unexpected. Especially with Drew McIntyre coming off of a match versus Damian Priest at WrestleMania. I kind of had a funny feeling that at some point he was going to be featured in a WWE title picture, especially with all the things he's saying and he's been saying about John Cena. It's interesting to see the fact that he's in the United States title picture versus a WWE title picture, which I think personally he's probably going to be in down the road. But nonetheless, good promo. We all know LA Knight can work the mic. Drew McIntyre can work the mic. I really am becoming a bigger fan of Jacob Fatu as of late. Now that he's kind of on his own a bit in a bit, and he's kind of like that bloodline type of thing starting to break away from. I'm becoming more of a fan. I've already knew Jacob Fatu can wrestle. Jacob Fatu can go in the ring, and he's that Samoan werewolf. But it does feel good that, or it seems good that he's on his own. He got his own. He has a title now, and he brought the title back to the Bloodline. And I like the fact that that promo was good. We get back to that match. I'm trying to go on some type of order. But next we have, I'm glad, Chelsea Green finally dropped the U.S. title. I will be honest. The whole gimmick with her, for me, at least for me personally, was getting annoying. Now, you got those heel gimmicks that work for you. They might, it's the heel gimmick, so we know what that comes with. But the whole Chelsea Green heel gimmick with the whole security team, the Secret Service, I will be honest, it was starting to get on my last nerves. And the only reason I say that is because when you have certain gimmicks like that, at least in my opinion, you're not able to show how good you can go inside of the ring because there's always going to be some sort of shenanigans. Now, we all know heel gimmicks 9 times out of 10 come with the shenanigans, but hers was almost on I'm not going to say another level. It was just one of those things like, this is starting to get annoying. And I was kind of waiting. We knew she wasn't going to drop the title to Michin. They wasn't going to give my girl B-Fab a title shot, even though she needs to get more push, to be honest, because she can really go in the ring and she has good promo skills. I wish B-Fab would get more push. But Zelina Vega, I think she should have had some sort of title run or a title match. She had one, I think, was that last year, Backlash France? Or was that, no, that was Puerto Rico 2 years ago. And it seems like she hasn't been in the title picture much really since. She's been basically taking the L's with the LWO. Losing World Order. But I'm so glad to see that Zelina Vega is finally giving her first United States title run or first singles title run in WWE. Match was okay. I'm more happy with the result than the match itself. Match itself didn't really hit me, to be honest. Only because the whole Chelsea Green thing was kind of I just wanted that to end, and I'm glad it did. Now I'm interested to see how they're going to build on this Zelina Vega thing. But I'm just glad she got the title. And speaking of Zelina Vega, The Miz, the whole promo in the back, and he wanted to make his own name. And then speaking of Zelina Vega, her husband, a real life husband, Aleister Black, returns to the WWE. Aleister Black was one of those guys that he kind of got lost with the whole Vince and Kennedy McMahon era. I mean, kind of got lost when he got caught up to the main roster. And And I'm glad he's back to WWE, get that second chance, attacking The Miz. And I want to see where it goes with it. The Miz was cutting a promo on him being not in the WrestleMania card. He main evented the WrestleMania, but I will be honest, that WrestleMania was not that good. Outside of the Undertaker and Triple H match at that, I think it was WrestleMania 27 or 28. I don't remember exactly. I think it might have been 27. I think it was 27. The one The Rock hosted, I think it was 27 because 28 and 29 were both The Rock. Yeah. It's WrestleMania 27. I'm not going to lie, that WrestleMania was not that good of a WrestleMania. And The Miz, that match with him and Cena, it was kind of buns anyway. But nonetheless, The Miz, we got to give him some credit. I want to see how they're going to fare with this. Now, you know what? I'll just talk about it. They popped up a Aleister Black versus The Miz match for Smackdown next week. And I would love to see how that's going to go. Are they going to give Aleister Black some push? Are they going to let them have some time in the ring to kind of give them both some type of boost as far as their promo or their segment goes, as far as their wrestling goes? Will they be able to tell a story with this and giving them time to tell a story? Because Aleister Black is one of those guys that can really go in the ring. I know it's going to take some slow build because maybe you got some new audience that hasn't been accustomed to seeing him, but Aleister Black can go in the ring. And he took out The Miz, and I'm ready to see where they go with this. And Drew McIntyre and LA Mag, it was a really good match. They both were going back and forth. They were duking it out, and then the fact of, I kind of had a feeling some shenanigans is going to come out with Solo Sikoa coming back, and I think he struck the night with the Samoan Spike. And as he was going to do it, Damian Priest comes out. So it looks like that rivalry is going to continue. And I'm interested to see how those two are going to play out as far as the United States title goes. With Jacob Fatu, you got Priest, you got LA Knight. I'm interested. You got LA Knight, you got Priest, you got Fatu, and you got a guy like Knight, McIntyre, Priest, and Fatu. Is this going to be a fatal four-way match, or setting themselves up for a fatal four-way match at Backlash for the United States title? That will be a dope match to see because all of them can go in the ring, and they all have their own interlining rivalries. Whether we have Drew, maybe he has some frustrations with Solo, and you know he's going to date back to the WWE title. The Drew McIntyre and the Damian Priest rivalry. Drew McIntyre has some words for LA Knight early in the night, and then they had the match. 5-2 with it's just setting itself up for a fatal four-way at Backlash. Now, the main event of the night, Chef's Kiss, the tag team TLC, which I think should have been a WrestleMania match. When we're talking about that match versus what we got at WrestleMania for the tag team division with the War Raiders and New Day, all respects to both of those teams, but this should have been the WrestleMania match. This match was A1 Patty Go. This match was this was it. This was probably one of the best matches that I've seen in this calendar year. Whether we're talking about this match, whether we're talking about the triple threat with the Women's World title at WrestleMania, the triple threat with Seth, Roman, and CM Punk at WrestleMania, whether we're talking about Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber, whether we're talking about Cody versus Kevin Owens at Royal Rumble, this match is up there with them. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about SmackDown's tag team division is way, I think, head and shoulders above Raw's tag team division. With the match that they put on, with the match that they gave us, this was a great match. This match was great. I mean, Lord, you had the table spots. Guys going through tables. You had if you guys remember the TLC match, I think it was WrestleMania 17, which was arguably one of the greatest WrestleManias. We get that Angelo Dawkins spearing Tommaso Ciampa off of the ladder, off of the belts. that moment reminded me so much of WrestleMania 17 when Ed speared, I think it was Jeff Hardy, off of the title belts. This match was crazy. And we even had a prosthetic leg involved, for Christ's sake. This match was just, it told a story of all three of them being in so much of a rivalry for those titles. And I'm glad the Street Profits won, because I think the Street Profits have been the team that hasn't been getting in there just due. But that match was A1, and then the Street Profits ended up winning. Montez Ford, I've been wanting him to have a singles run for a while. He can go, and I'm going to be a little bit biased because he's from Chicago. Chicago's on, and I'm always going to root for my Chicago people. Him, CM Punk, a guy like Tony D'Angelo, NXT. But, man, that was an absolute perfect of a match that should have been on the WrestleMania card. And I'm interested to see where they're going to take these SmackDown tag team titles and the Street Profits going forward. It gives me more interest in their tag team division. Where are they going to go next? And I cannot wait to see it. Today's video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. For me, it is very important to have a VPN to protect my online privacy. It'd be very, very creepy if there was someone out there who kept a log of every single thing that you did online. So why let your internet provider really do that to you online? The best thing to do is to get yourself a VPN, and why not go with ExpressVPN, the best VPN available. Personally, I like it for the fact that you can unlock Netflix shows that you do not get in the US market. Now, one show that I've started to get myself into is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You search Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the US, doesn't come up, but you can switch your location to Canada, and you can research Brooklyn Nine-Nine again, and bam, it pops up right then and there, and you can catch up on your episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Now, if you click the link in the description below, you will get 3 free months of ExpressVPN. Just by clicking the link below and you sign up today, you will get 3 months free of ExpressVPN. All you have to do is click the link down below, and you will get ExpressVPN. Now, let's just get back to the video. Now we get to start off with the Monday Night Raw that just went off the air as I'm recording this. And we're going to start off with Seth Rollins coming out with Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman. And that faction, I'm very invested in this. And I had a funny feeling after what happened last week on Raw with Bron Breakker coming out and attacking CM Punk and Roman Reigns, my tribal chief. I just want to see where were they going to go with this? What angle were the WWE going to take with this? And it's crazy. I didn't think Sami Zayn was going to be the one to get involved. But if we're going to talk about kind of like past things where they were them not getting Seth Rollins to be able to get on the Survivor Series team, and they both having their bit of issues back and forth, it kind of made some sense for Sami to get involved. And then he made him an offer that if he goes to SmackDown and he's going to roll free or whatever, or he's going to be a target on it back. Now, it's one of those things where we knew it was going to play out at some point later in the night, and that's what happened. But Sami Zayn came out and basically told him that he was kind of foolish, and he was kind of jealous of Roman and CM Punk because of the fact of he has Heyman in his corner, and it was kind of becoming what those two were. And I can see where, as far as like things go, I can see where Sami was cooking. He was cooking in that because he was kind of right. Roman, for these past 4 to 5 years, had Heyman at his back. CM Punk had Heyman at his back. And it's like the fact now, Seth Rollins now has Heyman in his back. So it's almost like, he's kind of becoming the things that he hates. It's really seeming like that Seth Rollins is becoming what he hates. It's kind of like if you guys play, you know what? I'm not gonna ruin it for WWE 2K25. So, but it's kind of becoming of a story that's on that particular game in the Mile Rise. Kind of reminds me of that, where somebody becomes somebody that they hate. It really is, because CM Punk and Roman had success, a lot of success with Paul Heyman on his side. And it's starting to look like Seth Rollins is taking a page out of their playbook. But he gets to the decision, which I will get on to a little bit later. Then we have the Rhea Ripley versus the Roxanne Perez match. I'm familiar with Roxanne Perez. I've watched her in NXT. Prodigy. I get why they call her that, because that woman can really go. And Rhea Ripley. And I was one of those people that this match, let's just be honest, it was not going to end with Roxanne winning. It was not going to win with Roxanne winning clean. I think Roxanne still has room to improve and room to grow, but she's a future WWE Women's Champion at some point in her career. But with the way that they're telling this story, I just knew this match was not going to end clean. And then on top of that, you have Rhea Ripley having still that aura that she has. Then on top of that, with whole Julia and Perez coming out last week, it was not going to end clean. And it ended right with Julia coming out and being the distraction. It ended this match via disqualification. And on top of that, you got Io Sky coming out to help protect Rhea. And it was a little bit later backstage, but she said, you kind of looked like you needed help. It was almost like, you helped me last week and I'm helping you. And Rhea Ripley walking off and saying they're even. At some point, it's going to be both of them one-on-one again for the women's world title. It's really shaping out to be like that. And I'm interested to see how Roxanne Perez and Julia are going to fall into this. I'm interested to see how they're going to fall into this. Because you can't just have those two come out and attacking Io and Rhea and not have some sort of a fallout to it. So I'm interested to see where they're going to take that. Now, Logan Paul come out and confronted Jey Uso and wanted to challenge for a World Heavyweight title match, which, let's just be honest, I hope Logan Paul doesn't take the world title off of Jey Uso, especially after all Jey Uso went through to win it, and Logan Paul being the guy that most people hate, and me being one of them. They had a good saying that, and he wanted to say, you want to come get some, get some. And Jey Uso, I hope he turns onto that other, not heel, but dark side. And he did, where he's like, he's not taking it from anybody. And he super kicked Logan Paul, which I love to see. But either way it goes. Then we had the World Raiders versus Finn Balor and JB McDonough to become number one contenders for the World Tag Team titles. And this is what I was talking about earlier in this episode, where I feel SmackDown's tag team division is a little bit better. But nonetheless, they had the New Day at ringside during commentary. And when they have people, let's just be honest, we all know, when WWE, they have people on commentary, they're going to get involved somehow. And that's exactly what happened with them running their mouths. It was a good match between Finn and JD, and I will give JD McDonough his props. He looked very impressive in his first return match since the injury he suffered a couple of months ago. He looked very impressive. Now, we had the whole Judgment Day thing backstage, whether we're talking about them having titles and them not communicating things with Finn Balor. And the way that's playing out, I have a funny feeling Finn Balor is going to leave the Judgment Day at some point. So I have a funny feeling Finn Balor is going to get frustrated and leave the Judgment Day. It's playing out that way, at least story-wise. It's playing out that way. But then on top of that, good match. We had some, of course, when you have a match with the Judgment Day, we just expect some shenanigans to happen, and that's exactly what happened. Ref turned the back, and here comes Carlito. I mean, Carlito at this point, he's just a side piece of the Judgment Day at that point. Of course, with the apple, causes distraction, has the ref turn the back, of course, the things that are going on, only for my man's Penta to come out and push JD McDonough off the ropes and give the World Raiders the win. And when we're talking about the World Raiders, for them to be big, massive guys, they can really go in the ring. Really go in the ring. But it's just the fact that this tag team division, to me, it needs a spark. This tag team division on the Raw side needs a spark. Whether you bring Rey Fenix over from SmackDown and pair with Penta and make the Lucha Brothers, and they did have a mention of that backstage. I just want some type of a spark in the Raw tag team side. It's not there. You have Rusev have his own promo. I'm glad to see Rusev is back in the WWE. I'm really glad to see that. Rusev, and he had a lot to talk about tipping through the pain. But I'm just glad to see Rusev back in WWE. And where are they going to continue to go with them pushing forward? Now you have Becky Lynch and basically came with the whole turning her back on Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. She revealed the one is to be the one that attacked Bayley, which I think once she attacked Lyra after their match last week, you kind of figured Becky Lynch was the one that attacked Bayley. And she brought up the history with Bayley, been at her throat for the last 5 to 6 years. And then Lyra Valkyria being friends with her, got something into it. So, and then on top of that, Lyra coming out, and she explained, and Becky Lynch explaining that she basically did this for just to attack, had something to do with Bayley, and I have a funny feeling whenever Bayley does decide, or whatever they push for Bayley to come back, it's going to be something there. Then Lyra Valkyria is saying that she is not wanting to be the next Becky Lynch, and she brought up the fact that she's one that beat Becky Lynch for the NXT title, and Becky she's going full blown heel, kind of like her husband Seth. So then Lyra challenges her for a match, which she says she's not. I know you're not going to accept this unless I put this Intercontinental title on the line. And for the love of me, but I'll get it. I don't want to get into some of those pre-thoughts early, but I'll just say, I'll just leave on a cliffhanger. I hope one thing doesn't happen at Backlash. I'll just say that. But we got a brawl. Becky runs. Lyra goes back to the ring, and Becky, the veteran, attacks her. And I'm anxious to see where they're going to go with this feud. Is Bayley going to play any part in it? Which I have a feeling she will. And then we have NXT champion Stephanie Vega versus Ivy Nile. And that match was a very good match. I think it gave a showing for Ivy Nile to show what she can really do in the ring. That was a very good match. Stephanie Vega, we've seen, and I've personally seen in NXT, she can really go in the ring. And we all know that everybody's favorite move was with Boogie. Come on now, we know, but it was a very good match. Very good match, of course, with Chad at ringside. You know it's gonna be some shenanigans. You just know it. And speaking of Chad, and speaking of that, I'm just glad that whole El Grande Americano thing, he did come out as that. Because I'll be one of the people that I don't like that for Chad. I don't like it for Chad because it doesn't give Chad the credit that he can wrestle, at least now. I hope at some point that thing gets unmasked, but neither here nor there. And I'm going to talk about one of the biggest things of the night. When Pat McAfee put a promo on Gunther. That was insane. He was saying how he wanted to be a good person. He was saying that when his friends are in trouble, he's going to go back for his friends, as we seen last week when he tried to attack Michael Cole, but Pat McAfee stepped in the way. It's like, you're not doing that. And he got attacked from behind by Gunther, and he proceeded to cook a phenomenal promo on Gunther that ended up going to some swerve way I didn't think it was going to go, with him challenging Gunther to a match at Backlash. Or wanted him to fight. He wanted them to lift the suspension. I ain't going to say challenging. He wanted them to lift the suspension and wanted to get his hands on Gunther. Called GM Nick Aldis. Well, he was the filling GM for the night, and he proposed that he get the match on Backlash, which I cannot wait to see. I'm a one. Some people hate on McAfee. I don't know why. I'm a fan of Pat McAfee. Even though I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really start watching this show till it got on ESPN. I will be 1,000% honest about that. I didn't start watching the Pat McAfee show until it got out on ESPN. And I really like the Pat McAfee show. I really love what he brings to commentary. Some people are not a fan of it. I get it. Everybody has their thing, but I am a fan of it. And at the end of the day, that was phenomenal. And then we have the Sami Zayn, the Seth Rollins, the whole decision, which, I'll be honest, I'm waiting for a Sami Zayn heel turn. I was waiting for a Sami Zayn heel turn. Didn't get it. I ain't gonna say I'm really a fan of Sami Zayn. I'd rather see him heel at this point. The whole face thing, the baby face thing, is cool and all. People love his interest. I get it. I want to see this man turn heel. I think I've always liked Sammy better as a heel, in my opinion. That's just me. And then with the whole Seth Rollins friendship, and Bron Breakker wanted a match with him, which the match, they fought before, and those matches have been good matches, and this was a good match. And then this whole new level of Bron Breakker ever since we seen him pair him with Paul Heyman, we knew he was going to take another step as far as the character and as far as that dominance go. And we saw that. It's 4 spears, and Seth was starting to tell him to continue. Even the refs called the match, and Seth kind of pulled Bron off, only the curb stomp. Which we kind of saw that coming too with the way they angled and positioned the whole thing. So Sami Zayn is more of a target now. My interesting question is, who is going to be the opponents for Seth, for Bron, and Paul Heyman's faction? That's the answer to a question I want to know. Whether it be CM Punk, whether it be Roman, Sammy, who exactly are they going to have lined up to be as far as the rivalry for them? I'm interested to see that. When Seth Rollins kind of going on this full-blown heel turn, even though he's still getting cheered, I am interested to see how that goes going into Monday. I'm interested to see how that's going to go. But overall, I give SmackDown, I didn't get my grades earlier. I gave SmackDown like a 7 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10 because of the match, the TLC match, and I give Raw this week a 7 out of 10. The matches were cool, promos were cool. It wasn't nothing that was like too disappointing, but I mean, some of it was kind of predictable, like the whole Sami Zayn shtick. It's kind of predictable. So, and I just kind of want to see what the opponents are going to be for Seth and Bron in the future. But overall, I think SmackDown this past week was a little bit of a better show. Interested to see what SmackDown's going to do with the tag team division. I'm interested to see who is going to be the guys to face off against Seth and Bron, and when are CM Punk and Roman coming back? Because storyline, when are they coming back to be in the mix? But that concludes this week's episode of WWE Weekly, episode 1. Make sure you guys like, comment your thoughts, share, and subscribe to the channel down below. And I will catch you guys next week for WWE Weekly. I am APW Sports signing out. Peace.